Doing good. Welcome. I want to give a prophetic crypto update, personal update, and share a couple dreams. One that my wife had this week, and one that I had yesterday morning. Um, Thanks for being here. Thanks for taking the time to listen. If you haven't seen stuff I've posted, I'm just try to be super humble and honest about how the Lord is speaking about crypto, about current events, just things that He's sharing with me. Now, there's it's one thing to hear the Lord, but it's another thing to heed what He's saying and to recognize that it's really Him speaking. And I'm learning this journey, and I can't say that I'm brand new to it all. I mean, I've been walking with the Lord and hearing Him through dreams for right around 30 years now. But the Lord's always got a new way to switch things up, to make it even more of a risk to follow Him. And it's an adventure, right? And when you follow Him with your finances, whew, and if you have a family, it's one thing to follow the Lord for yourself, but if you have a family and kids, it's a whole other level. So, yeah, I want to share some encouraging stuff. So, update with me and the market. I am back in the market. I bought back in, I think 2 Fridays ago. I'm not sure if that's exactly when, but there was a downturn, and I'm like, okay, well, I think I wanted to get back in the market. I think it's probably a pretty good time to buy back in. We're at a low, so I bought back in, not because the Lord told me to at that point. Part of this, this part confession, really, because if you've seen any of my videos recently, I'm like trying to get on board with smoke weed, bro. Nah, I used to, man. I don't need that stuff anymore, man. I got peace that weed can't compete with right now. His name is Jesus. But blessings. So yeah, I'm trying to get on board with what the Lord's showing me, but I'm wrestling. My faith is wrestling. Gosh, I'm stepping away from listening to a lot of other people in the prophetic crypto space. Not because what they're saying is not true, not because what they're saying is a bad influence. Okay, none of that. I need to step away because I've let things that they've said influence me more than I was supposed to. And I've seen over the past few months the Lord give my wife and I dreams that have been so on point, and in a way they've contradicted what other people have said about the market. Now, I'm not saying other people were wrong, okay? But what they were sharing was really of a different prophetic sequence, if that makes sense, than what the Lord was showing my wife and I. And I was sacrificing what the Lord was showing me personally and my wife to trust what the Lord was showing other people as a community. And it's been my desire. Like, I've always fought really hard to not just follow what the Lord shows me, but to really, you know, if you're a Christian, you're a part of the church, and the church is bigger than just one person, and it's important to hear what the Lord's saying to more people than just yourself, you know. And I've fought for that for so many years. And what you can glean from by hearing other people's prophetic experiences and dreams is so beautiful, is so important, so needed. I really believe a major part of reformation that the Holy Spirit is trying to bring to the church is for us to hear him corporately, prophetically, corporately, so that we have the strategies needed together. But I have let that stuff interfere with what the Lord has shown me personally. And it's almost like what the dreams and prophetic crypto stuff that the Lord has shown other people has been broader stuff. And I'm not saying there haven't been some specifics, but the kind of specifics that the Lord has shown me and my wife over the past few months, I have not heard other people talk about. Maybe a little bit, but I haven't. And that has made me suspicious that I wasn't really hearing the Lord. But in retrospect, looking back, I'm just like, oh my God, Lord, if I would have just listened to you, I would be so up right now in my account. And I hate to say that, but it's true. And you can go back and look at and listen to the videos I posted about the market and the dreams that we've had. And I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed of myself, really, to say that the Lord has been speaking to me, but I haven't been cooperating with him because I haven't had maybe the confirmation that I've wanted through the prophetic community, or in the natural, it just didn't look like it was. I doubted. I shared the dream that I had where in the dream I was crying out for deliverance from unbelief and doubt. And in the dream, a prophetic minister was going to pray over me. And before he came to me, my right leg crossed over my left leg, preventing me from being able to move forward. And it was like my left leg wanted to walk in faith, but my right leg, which a lot of times the right is the natural mind and the left is faith, because like for right-handed people, it's the left-hand side is the weaker side, and the right hand is the side of physical strength. So here I was wanting to move forward in faith with my left foot, but my right foot got in its way. And scripture is clear, like straight up, it is double-mindedness. And Jesus, deliver me, deliver us from double-mindedness, from overthinking, from, I don't know if you've heard the phrase, but delayed obedience is disobedience. It's true. It really is true. And there's mercy and there's grace, right? But when I'm watching my account not reflect what it could have, if I would have believed the Lord quicker and acted on what he's shown me, I would have benefited personally. The Lord is so good, so faithful. And at the end of the day, I've really questioned his goodness, his faithfulness in the area of finances. I'm just being honest. Hey, I just want to say hello to everybody that might be on here commenting. Blessings. I'm not really engaging much with the comments. I just want to share this stuff. That way people who listen to it are listening in a way that is focused, and I'm getting to the points that they may want to hear. So I'm kind of celebrating right now, and you may say, well, why are you celebrating? And I'm celebrating because I feel like maybe my faith level and my reaction in faith is in sync with what the Lord is showing my wife and I for the first time in a while. I had a dream the night before last night, and literally what I dreamed about has unfolded in the market yesterday and today. And I'll share that dream after I share my wife's. But It's really super encouraging. And I do need to give myself grace, because I'm not used, like, I've had dreams in the past. Really my whole journey with having market dreams started with having dreams about Tesla, and I only had 2 dreams that were, I don't know, there's probably like a 3 or 4 year gap between each dream. But I started to realize, and I looked at the dates that I had those dreams, and Tesla stock, which is what I had dreams about, shot up right after I had the dreams. And but now I'm having more dreams. My wife's having dreams. We're on this journey as a family, and I'm like, okay, wow, this isn't just a dream here and there. Like, he's actually leading us pretty, like, I mean, over the past couple months, we've had dreams calling highs and calling lows. Still to be determined for the most part, but definitely at least the last few, I don't know, but I'm starting to, like, my faith is measuring up to how the Lord is speaking to me. And, you know, some people might say, well, if God's speaking to you, you know, you should just know that it's him and you should be able to follow him. Yeah, I wish it was that easy. I wish it was that easy. I mean, we still live in the natural realm, right? The devil is still sowing doubt and unbelief, and a carnal mind, you know, isn't 100% renewed. So Jesus, mind of Christ, mind of Christ. Gift of faith, Lord, I believe, help my unbelief. So, yeah, back in the market, I really was in some confusion, and I was just trying to get in sync with the Lord, but I just wasn't on track, and started to doubt that what I was getting was even from him. Yeah, but the dream that my wife had, she had a dream earlier in the week that is about a week ago, that we were in the mountains and we were renting this mountain house, and there was a river close to the house, and in the dream I had a real, like, meh attitude that maybe I have had recently in real life, just because we've gone through some pretty rough stuff financially. But no one's fault but my own. So, I mean, I can't blame other people. But anyways, in the dream, we're renting a mountain house, and there's like a hot tub, and I'm getting in the hot tub with my clothes on, and I'm just like exhausted and wore out, like from carrying more than the Lord has called me to carry. And then there's like a tennis court, and the tennis court's flooded, and people who live nearby say, yeah, the tennis court, the owners of the house, it was like we were renting a B&B, and the owners of the house locked the tennis court fence in the fall because it flooded every year. And my wife was like, okay, well, that's interesting. And she finds out that there's a river by the house, and she tells me, and I'm like, yeah, I know. And we walk over to the river, and I'm convinced that the river goes up and then plateaus, and the flow of the river stops, like above where the tennis court is. And so my wife wants to go up there to see, and she's all hyped about this river because it's beautiful and flowing, and I'm just like, yeah, okay, whatever. I don't know. I'm just was not impressed, apparently, in the dream. Just overwhelmed, probably stressed, whatever. And she just has this sense that the river continues, and I'm just indifferent. And we we walk and we travel, we go into this town, and my wife asked somebody, where are we? And I tell her, I said, hey, we're in Tennessee. And we've been to Tennessee one time. We live in South Carolina. Um, and I tell her that we're in Tennessee. So I guess we're vacationing in Tennessee in the dream. And the name Tennessee is strategic. It means meeting place, and there was some more to it, but yeah, it means like gathering place, meeting place, and that's kind of what it was, because we were in a town in the dream, and past where I thought the river stopped, she looked up, and there were these mountains, these two mountain peaks above, and some other mountains on the side, but two high mountain peaks up and away in front, and the river went rushing up the mountain. So this whole time the river was literally going up the mountain, which, you know, rivers don't really do that. It's kind of defies gravity. I think there's a couple places maybe in the world where you see that, but she's just like, this is incredible. The river's going up the mountain, and it was just going and getting bigger and huger. And I was in awe. I was shocked, because I didn't think that the water would continue up the mountain and defy gravity like that, but it was. And so in retrospect, there's definitely some highlights in the dream that I'd have to comment on. And I mean, I'm not going to comment on everything, so if anybody listening right now wants to share some thoughts, please share. But it was in the fall. You know, we're going into the fall right now, and she remembers seeing the leaves totally in color, and the attitude I had really was an attitude of weariness, and just like my heart was heavy kind of thing. Like, you know, I mean, if you've been walking in this prophetic thing with crypto, you know, this has been stretching. And we've all wanted to see breakthrough before now, right? And what do I look for in a guy? And I just gotta, I'm gonna answer this. What do I look for in a guy? I don't know. What does God look for in a guy, right? Righteousness. I'm happily married, so I'm not sure what you're talking about, but blessings. So it's the fall, and the river was continuing, and I maybe have been too short-sighted in what's going on in crypto. And what's my husband's name? I'm a dude, man. I'm a dude. I'm married to a woman, happily married, 15 years, 5 kids. One man, one woman can produce children. I pray revelation and grace over anybody that is in any kind of same-sex addiction. So anyways, yeah, the fall, and the river continued, and it was rushing up, and here was a tennis court, and it's interesting because tennis court, I feel like, and the tennis court was flooded. There's a reference to consolidation. There's a reference between the market going back and forth in a way that is unsafe. So the tennis court was locked because it was unsafe. There's too much water in the tennis court. So I feel like what the season we're in right now, or have been in over this past couple weeks, have been relatively unsafe to project for a long or for a short in the market, right? People, it's like, okay, well, we've gone down. We don't really know what's going on. Is it going to go up? Is it going to continue to go down? Is the Fed going to cut rates? Is it not? Right? A lot of people are waiting. A lot of people are locked out right now. And it would be wisdom to hold out, just to really know what's going on. I mean, I don't know if you heard this phrase before, but trend is your friend. It's a investing market term, and right, like you don't want to put money in when it's going down, right? You want to put money when it's going up. So you need to know what's going on in the market. And the word that I hear is lull. Like prophetically, I hear that word lull. So yeah, there's been kind of a lull in the market, right? Um, I I thought that the market was I was out of the market leading up to Powell's announcement, and he did cut rates. I had the dream experience where I was told outrage over Fed decision. I don't know if I can't say that that's transpired yet. So I don't know if because the economy is doing better than expected that we'll get 2 cuts instead of 3. I really don't know. Or if that just means that people wanted half a point cuts and all we're getting is a quarter. Either way, it's creating indecision in the market, and I feel like that is representative of the tennis court. Well, the mountains, the 2 high peaks, I would say represent a double top. That's a market structure that typically there's a downturn after a double top, but usually that's a high, right? And the river was rushing up, and it was shocking to me, and it was shocking to my wife, and it was the fall. So I feel like these different places in her dream, physically and geographically, represented different sequences of what we're going to see in the market, right? I feel like there's this lull, there's this just healing and refreshing, and then there is the market's going to go up before the end of the year. It is the thought, and it's going to be in the fall season, which goes into the dream that I had. I had a dream, not last night, but the night before, where in my dream, I was, let me get this right. The first thing I remember was I was in kind of the woods, in kind of a ravine, or like off the edge of a cliff kind of thing, and I was not a steep cliff, but one that I could walk and climb out of, and I was inside of this. It was like I was coming out of the woods, trying to find my way out of the woods. Totally dark, no moonlight, and all of a sudden through the trees I see light, and if you're in the woods in total darkness, going to light would be helpful, right? So here I am climbing, seeing the light, and then I look through the trees and I see a red and white light circle, and what it was a Target building. And you know how on Target buildings they have the big red and white bullseye? I saw that through the trees, and it was really bright, and then I kind of saw the glow of the parking lot. So like, oh wow, okay, there's this huge Target shopping center up ahead. I'm gonna climb up and go to that shopping center. Scene changes, and I'm walking on my way to a friend's house for Thanksgiving dinner. And in the dream, he is opening up his home for Thanksgiving. Now, like, he doesn't even live near me. He's never opened his home up for Thanksgiving. I don't even think he owns a home. He travels for work, like, all the time. And so there's no correlation to the natural with this particular friend and Thanksgiving. It's totally prophetic. So I'm on my way to his place, and in my hand I've got a chunk of white breast meat from a turkey, and it's like I had ripped it off, and I was holding it, waiting on the right person to give it to. And on my way to my friend's house for Thanksgiving, I interact with somebody and I give it to them. Next scene, I'm at my friend's house, and there's like people there, and there's Thanksgiving dinner, and everyone's just kind of hanging out, and then I'm sitting at a table. I'm on one side and he's on the other, and I think his name is strategic too. His name is Peter, right, which means rock, follower of Jesus. And he's sitting across from me, and there is a minister, nobody I know of, but just a preacher guy standing next to us. We're sitting on either side of the table, and I love it when you share dreams. When you share dreams, revelation and understanding shows up. I believe, obviously, the same God, same Holy Spirit who releases dreams, when you talk about them and stir them up, the same Holy Spirit helps you understand them. Along with angels, like if there's any angels involved with giving you dreams, the same ones that gave you the dream will show up and help you interpret it if you take the time to steward them. So the minister was there, and my friend Peter could tell that he didn't really understand what was going on and what we were talking about. And Peter and I both had this like incredible peace and feeling of accomplishment and breakthrough. And I look over at the minister, and I tell him, I was like, yeah, we both got major financial breakthrough because of, specifically, I said XRP. And that was the end of the dream. So there are some very specific things in this dream. Again, it's the fall, it's Thanksgiving. Now I'm not trying to predict a market high, but I am gleaning on clues from the Lord, right? Things that I'm going to kind of hold before him in prayer. But could it be that we reach a high in the market before Thanksgiving? It's kind of what I'm thinking, right? Because I'm not saying that the market can't go back down and then go back up in December or in January, but clearly the meat that I had to give away was a byproduct of the abundance that I had received prior to Thanksgiving, which is this year on the 28th. So I believe that's right. November 28th. So I'm like, all right, Lord, I'm considering getting out of the market, watching what happens, and getting out of the market before Thanksgiving. My friend and I, we don't talk. We talk on Telegram every once in a while. He's super busy, and so am I. But I feel like the name was important. Follower of Jesus, right? So it's just strong, passionate follower of Jesus. I think the rest of the dream. Now, I'll say this, and I alluded to this earlier. No joke. I had this dream yesterday morning, and if you don't know, the market's been going down like pretty radically for the past. Sorry, I got a phone call and my screen blacked out. So after I woke up from the dream, I thought, you know what? I wonder if we've reached the low and we're coming up, just like in my dream I was coming up. And I actually had some sell orders in place, thinking that the market would continue to go down, where I was trying to sell a little bit and then buy back in lower. And that's risky, right? That's super risky, but I was taking a little bit of money and trying to do that. Well, after I had that dream, I thought, you know what? This is similar to the other dreams that we've had, and the other ones have been on point and have pretty much immediately played out. So I'm gonna delete all of my sell orders and believe that possibly things, we could be coming up from a low now, going back up. I'm not saying that things can't go back down again, right? But before a high in November or whatever. But in fact, that's exactly what happened. Like we broke through an area of resistance where it looks like it's still going up. You know, we've got higher lows instead of it. You know, instead of lower lows, we've got higher lows now. So the market's shifted. Who knows how long that'll transpire for? But the dream I had is consistent to what is actually playing out in the market right now. So that is cool. I'm like, all right, Lord, like I'm not going to put any sell orders right now at all. Let's see this journey through the fall into a high. And the other main point of this dream, which I've had a couple other dreams about what to do when we've gotten some significant gains, because there's wisdom on how to handle the money, right? On what to do with it. So this dream, here I am giving away, right? I hear the word gratitude. I'm giving away choice meat, like the best, right? I mean, some people like white meat, some people like brown meat, but I like white meat. And I gave part of this chicken breast to somebody, a really good piece. Man, I love to give. I love to give. It's important to give. I don't always want to give, right? But I feel like the Lord is saying, be sure to give. And take this to the Lord, but I think we have to give by faith. Right? Like without faith, it's impossible to please God. Like if you're doing something that's not in faith, like it's literally sin. Scripture talks about that. So if you're giving out of compulsion or what you feel is just right and not really because you heard the Lord, you're not doing it in faith. So I want to give out of faith. I want to see a need that's not being filled, that God is smiling about when I give. So I feel like that's what I did. I held it ready to give for that right moment when the Lord shows me who and how to give to. And I did it. So I feel like that's a word from the Lord saying, hey, prepare to give. Once you get the gains, be prepared to give. My friend and I at the table, again, the minister's there. And I'll be honest, he was intrigued on what was up with us, but I could tell that there was kind of a neediness on him where he was looking for handouts. And there is something in the church, in church culture, where professional ministry people are always looking for handouts, right? Like they, I mean, and where tithe is expected, and I'm just here to say, look, we are a priesthood of believers. We're in the New Testament. We don't have priests that we need to tithe to. I'm sorry, right? And I mean, if you want to give to your church by faith because what they're doing is awesome and for the kingdom, then that's amazing. But the whole like tithing subscription, Christian subscription service to a church, I'm open to being wrong about it, okay? But I just have seen people prosper and seen the pleasure of God when people give by faith instead of compulsion or just doing what they think they're supposed to do. So yeah, this minister, he could have been hearing the Lord about crypto. He could have been taking steps of faith to invest in XRP, right? I mean, there's no shortage of people, Christians, talking about it. So what's to stop a paid staff member, clergy member from investing money in crypto, right? And I felt like we weren't supposed to give. I wasn't supposed to give to this guy. So be wise on who you give to. Please the Lord with your giving. Give generously, right? Clearly in Scripture, we are supposed to give and give generously. Jesus gave his whole life for us. So can we not be a giving people? I mean, church buildings need to be paid for. Electric bills need to be paid for. You know, all that stuff. People who do children's church need to get some kind of money. Unfortunately, in most churches, people who volunteer, they just volunteer. Nobody gets paid for anything except for like full-time staff people, right? But yeah, we're going to be accountable to God for how we steward and what we do, how we do with what we have. So I don't know if that was correct English, probably not, but yeah, I want to get a reward for my faith in heaven, right? Store up your reward in heaven, not on earth. But yeah, blessings. I hope that some of this was insightful to you. Ask the Lord what you're supposed to be doing. If I've learned something over the past few months, and I should know, I know better, but when it comes to money, man, it's not easy to hear the Lord on. And I encourage you not to just heed what I'm saying about the market, or what I'm doing with my money, but ask the Lord what you're supposed to do with yours. Ask him for dreams. Talk about the dreams you have. Don't talk about your dreams with everybody, just people you trust. But yeah, I'm celebrating. I'm celebrating right now because I feel like finally I'm back in sync with what the Lord is sharing with my wife and I prophetically. And I wish, my wife had the dream about my dog going outside. And my dog's name is Cash. And in the dream, we let our dog out to go to the bathroom, and my wife saw a bear outside. And we quickly let our dog back inside. And my wife was like, that's a bear market. And now if you would have looked on most of the crypto channels, prophetic crypto channels, like it was all like up, everything's gonna go up, right? At these specific targets. So I was not willing to listen to any negative about a bear market, and I just didn't feel like it was confirming. Now, we do have a track record of hearing the Lord, and I wanted to test it. I wanted to wait a week maybe to see, but right after my wife had that dream about the bear, the market started to go down. And if I would have waited until the dream I had yesterday, right? Like if we would have sold when my wife had the bear dream and not gotten into the market after Powell or before Powell said that they were going to lower the rates, when everybody said everything was going to go crazy high, I just wasn't willing to risk it. Like my natural mind wasn't willing to risk it. But if we would have sold when my wife had the dream about the bear and bought back in yesterday after I had the dream about coming up out of the low place in the woods, we would be up a lot. Like the Lord is trying to help us. The Lord is trying to help me, and I'm like, right? I'm putting that right foot in front of my left, and it's causing me to stumble. And I think the Lord's healing me. I think I'm actually repenting and heeding what He's saying now. So to be continued. I'm going to try to do videos every Monday evening, afternoon. I've got a few hours in the car while I'm waiting for one of my daughters to do ballet. Yeah, I take her and I wait 3 hours because it's 45 minutes to drive home. But it's awesome. All right, blessings. Jesus, we ask for revelation, dreams, courage, boldness. Help us live out our faith in a real way, not just behind closed doors in a building on Sundays, right? Day in and day out, let us walk with you in truth, in humility, in righteousness, and be the salt and light that you've called us to be. All right, I'm out. To be continued. Blessings.